Good afternoon and welcome to Farsighted, CNET's show about what is just around the corner and beyond. I'm your host, Eric Mack, and I'm joined in the studios there in beautiful San Francisco at CNET by Jeff Sparkman, the man dealing to a poker table full of ghosts, and Stephen Beecham behind the controls there.
Which camera? That one.
And so we're here today to talk about the year that was, the year that's almost over. 2016. Recently there's been a lot of ink and pixels declaring 2016 the year of humanity's discontent. And it's tough to deny in the realm of geopolitics, at least when we're talking about some pretty awful conflicts in places like Syria, acts of terrorism worldwide, the discontented casting votes for Brexit and Donald Trump, and others feeling high anxiety over their victories. But look, the world went on, and so did some important work in the areas of science and innovation. In fact, if you sweep the ugly parts of 2016 under the rug and then check the place out, I swear it's not too shabby. What really makes 2016, in my view, is the view. It overlooks a future which, believe it or not, is much more bright and exciting than it appeared 12 months ago. Not everyone there at the table agrees with me, but today we're going to talk about some of the events of 2016 that will have a lasting and positive impact 5, 10, even 100 years into the future. We'll also discuss a few other things that we're looking forward to in 2017. And in fact, let's start right now with the one thing in 2016 that we're actually still looking forward to, which is Rogue One, a Star Wars story. But first, let's say hey to the guys. It's a ship of fools here with the men behind the controls. How's it going, Steve and Jeff?
Good.
Hola.
Yeah, we actually had our two regular co-hosts are sick today, so we hope you feel better, Kelsey and Bonnie. It's a bummer that you're not here.
It is
we're wrapping up the year.
Season.
They're just saving up energy for Rogue One tonight and tomorrow.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure of that. And we also want to say hey to everyone else who's watching on live stream or YouTube. We've got the chat rooms open. It's live stream /CNET/Farsighted. And if you go to YouTube/CNET, you can find the Farsighted link there if you want to get into the chat rooms. Also, tweet at me at Eric C. Mack, ERICCMACK. I'll be monitoring that if you got any questions or comments, and we'll try to get that in. But so first, let's start with Rogue One. A few people at CNET have already seen it. Premieres tonight. But our own Rich Trenholm over in London has actually already submitted his review. Do we have that to start the discussion?
I'm going to roll it right now.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there was a movie called Star Wars. But what we didn't know until now is that around the back of Star Wars, just out of sight, another movie was playing out. That movie was Rogue One.
You're rebels, aren't you?
Save the rebellion! Save the dream!
Rogue One, the first Star Wars spin-off, takes us to a host of new worlds and introduces us to a bunch of new faces. But it's intertwined with the saga we know, as these previously unknown minor characters and bit part players do their bit against the Evil Empire, stealing the plans to the dreaded Death Star. And we all know how that turned out. The ragtag band of new characters led by plucky Felicity Jones includes the hilarious Alan Tudyk as straight-talking droid K2SO and affecting Donnie Yen as a warrior monk with a touch of the Jedi about him. Together they take on Ben Mendelsohn's ambitious imperial bureaucrat in a gritty, Dusk Street tale that largely takes place at street level, somewhere around the corner from the original movies. As Rogue One rubs up against A New Hope, we do meet a few old faces, some of which work better than others. But it's pretty liberating to watch a blockbuster in which you know there's no sequels or franchises or civil wars to come, and so you genuinely don't know which characters are going to make it. But despite knowing roughly how it's all going to turn out, there are a lot of thrills to be had. Director Gareth Edwards dives into the classic Star Wars toy box for eye-popping, pulse-pounding action that dials the classic series up to 11. The climax is electrifying, proving you don't need Skywalkers to tell a spectacular Star Wars story. Facing the dark side at street level, Rogue One is a force to be reckoned with.
Cool.
All right, so there you have it. So I know I'm planning on going tomorrow night with my family for the first showing here in New Mexico. What do you guys have planned? You going to go see it? You excited? What's the vibe?
I'm definitely going to go see it, but probably not this weekend because it's probably going to be, I'm just going to be too busy, but I'm going to try to see it in LA actually when I'm down there
nice.
next week. So I'm excited. But you know what a lot of people are doing is that they're rewatching A New Hope before they go see Rogue One because there's a lot of information in A New Hope that comes out in Rogue One. So they're kind of like, they're like just getting a refresher on A New
Right.
Hope on the first, it's the third, episode 3, right? So I would recommend if you're going to watch Rogue One this weekend, maybe try watching A New Hope. And hopefully you get an original version, not one that Lucas messed with.
Yeah, right. What about you, Jeff? You're gonna go see it a little to the east there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go see it tonight at 10.
Are you excited?
Don't I look excited?
So, it is kind of this weird thing. Like, a couple of friends last night were like, well, now that that Disney's bought the franchise, it's like we're gonna get hammered, every year or even more often with like these new movies, these new parts of the franchise, and it's like the question of is that gonna dilute it and degrade the quality, or is it awesome? And I gotta say, so far, I think it's been pretty awesome. Episode 7, I was pretty impressed with, and I'm hearing so far, really positive reviews of this one.
Yeah, same here. I don't think it's degraded because since the first Star Wars came out, there's just been books and TV shows and all
it's like,
kinds of stuff.
not like they kept this quiet at any point.
Yeah, totally. So I don't see how, having more Star Wars movies is going to be a negative effect on the franchise. I think it's actually I'm pretty shocked that they got this one out this soon.
Yeah.
Because the other one just came out. It was this year, right? The Force Awakens.
It was last year.
That was
around
the
this time
end of
last
last
year.
year.
Exactly a
I
year
see.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, that was like still fresh to me, like it happened this year. But
It's the new Christmas tradition.
Yeah.
yeah. Star Wars
Somebody's
movie every
origin
Christmas.
story.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to hurt. I think it's just going to help. People love to write about it and talk about it. So we're here talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to avoid. I mean, other than seeing, a trailer here and there, I've tried not to really learn too much about it.
Same here.
Just so I can go in. I don't care about spoilers and stuff like that all that much. I just figured, let's see how much of the movie I can actually see in the theater rather than beforehand. Just, to see if I can do it.
And I'm hoping that when Force Awakens came out, there was a meme, or it wasn't a meme, but it was like a mean message going around YouTube and other places, which gave away the plot.
I got that on Twitter last year.
I got it on like a YouTube comment.
Yeah.
And I was trying to avoid it so thoroughly. And I saw that and it like stuck in my head. And then when the movie was unfolding, I was like, oh, that a-hole was right.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah. So let's just hope nothing like that happens for this film.
Well, now I'm waiting to like count down to somebody doing it in the chat room.
I know. Don't look at the chat.
It's
Don't
so
look at the chat.
tempting. I wouldn't blame people.
I like what Rich had to say too about it'll be an interesting experience, and this is kind of like a side story. We don't have the entire like linear episodes 1 through 7 that where you got to kind of now we know what's going on here. It actually is like almost like a fresh look at the Star Wars universe. So it'll be interesting to be able to come at the entire universe kind of with fresh eyes instead of trying to figure out like, where does that fit into the whole thing? Because Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead have melted my brain enough trying to keep track of the billion characters in those things. So it'd be nice to just be introduced to like a whole new set of characters that like don't necessarily have to worry how they fit into everything, even though there is a little of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, this one's more like, I hear it's a little darker, which is cool. It's like more war. Mm-hmm. It's a little heavier, I guess, compared to the other ones. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, like a grittier one. And or a droid carrying information. Who knows? We don't know.
Right.
That seems to be the theme. There is a woman, a powerful woman, which is a Star Wars theme. So that's cool.
We do have Alan Tudyk is one of the droids, right? So that's cool as well.
Yeah, totally.
But but what we really need after 2016 is something a little darker, right, Jeff?
Yeah, because we haven't had enough darkness yet.
So for everyone who doesn't know, I mean, you've probably seen there's been tons of stuff around the internet over the last few weeks. Don't know what triggered it, but about how 2016 hasn't been maybe the best year in recent memory. And Jeff and I have been going back and forth a little bit on our feelings about 2016, and I certainly understand the sentiment about how maybe it hasn't been the best, but I'm determined to see this glass half full, and maybe convince Jeff and I'm not really sure where you stand, Stephen, that it's better than it appears, and so to kick that off. We're going to talk about some of the good parts of 2016 for the rest of the show and some stuff we're looking forward to in 2017. If you want to talk about some of the worst parts, you might find something on the internet about that elsewhere. But let's start with this video that I've got there, Stephen, and this is I'll set it up real quick. This is just some audio of a conversation that I had a couple weeks ago with John Sculley, who's the former CEO of Apple and of Pepsi before that, and he's the guy who was head of Apple, like in between the two Steve Jobs reigns. He's Jeff Daniels in the movie. In this millennium, he's basically been doing like a bunch of investing into startups that are working on building a better future in a lot of ways, in particularly in the healthcare field. And so we had a long talk recently, and here's just one thing he had to say about where he thinks the future is going to take us pretty soon, at least in terms of healthcare.
I was talking to a good friend of mine, Jeffrey Ling from DARPA, and I said, so kids who were born today, what can they reasonably expect their lifespan will be? He said, reasonably 125 years. And these are kids who are already born. And so by 2050, they're going to be they're going to be just early middle aged, and they may be, 50, 55 years old. Maybe we won't even call that middle age then, who knows? And I think that the good news is that the possibility of regenerating organs, being able to find ways in which blind people can see, deaf people can hear, all of those types of problems are going to be increasingly solvable.
So, okay, one of the things, that's John Sculley again, one of the things I want to point out is within weeks of he and I having that conversation, a group of scientists at the Salk Institute, using the techniques he's referring to, they actually did, they were able to edit genes to make blind animals see again.
Wow.
So this is stuff that's happening right now. And the thing he said about this generation of kids being able to comfortably expect to live to 125, I mean, I'm kind of a techno-optimist, but that seems really optimistic to me. But all three of us here, we're all fathers, we all have kids, and he's talking about our kids. And so this is stuff that has really kind of begun to come into its own and gain some momentum in the last year. So it's okay. It's okay, Jeff. See? Did I convince you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'm convinced.
Do we want to live to be 125? That's a question.
I mean,
I feel like
that actually, yeah, that was another part of our conversation is, he went on to say, and a lot of what he's talking about is using gene editing techniques and what's called precision medicine, which is basically kind of combining big data and health, right, and using kind of algorithmic techniques that run a lot of our life now to get a better sense of how our genes work. And there's something called CRISPR-Cas9, which is the weird scientific name for it, but it's basically an enzyme that can be used to edit genes, and that's what they use to be able to make the blind animals see again. And so those are the kind of techniques he's talking about. These are technologies that are really coming into their own right now. And using that, he was saying he expected cancer to be solved in about 10 to 15 years. And then once cancer falls, that frees up a whole bunch of resources, money, resources, scientists, researchers, to then attack other diseases like Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, and that he saw these maladies just starting to fall like dominoes. And that's where you have kids today then being able to live much longer, to basically the lifespan of the human body, which like a lot of people think the body could live to like 125, and then it just like that's really kind of the edge of it. And so, but a big part of the conversation is, okay, well, what do we do with all these people who are around living forever then? In terms of like, that's a lot of people to manage and kind of a burden on the society. So that's actually something he's working on. I've got a profile of John Scully that's coming out in the next week or two where we'll get into that a lot more. But that's just, these genetic techniques and what they can mean for health and for curing disease and for having a higher quality of life health-wise. That's just one of the things that really began to move forward in 2016. Something else that we've covered a lot on CNET is how much further we're going out into space. But I suppose before we get into that, we should answer your question, which is, do we want to live to
Kombucha Dog
125 or not? And I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think I want to be that old, because I'm going to be frail. I won't be able to do anything for myself, and it's just going to be uncomfortable. So,
I mean, there's only so many books to read, only so many shows to binge watch.
I mean, unless like we all have like robotic, bionic bodies that can carry us around and do, maybe like if my brain is still active, like in a jar, like that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character, maybe, but it just doesn't seem like you would have much quality of life if you're 125 years old,
And I'm saying that as somebody, at my age and horribly out of shape. So there is that. I mean, just like the thing that I was actually curious about with the how they restored vision in mice. I'm wondering if you were to restore vision to somebody who had not like ever seen before, how does the brain know how to interpret the information that is now coming? Like, would they?
That's true.
Like, you're restoring the vision, but is there like a way for that to be processed so they can really see, or is it just going to be kind of just data that's going into the brain?
It's a good question.
Right. I mean that becomes another question perhaps for technology to solve. And I mean, like a lot of the people like around Silicon Valley, like everything's kind of an engineering problem, right? And so there must be a way to use technology to like if you have somebody who like they've had their vision restored but for the first time, and it's like kind of freaking out some of the capabilities of their brain, well, probably there's a way to like put some sort of like a limiter or a transmitter into the brain that can then interpret that in a way that is safe and keeps them sane. So I mean, I guess it really comes down to, do you have the faith in technology to actually solve all these things, or is that like a bridge too far?
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about, like all the problems that would need to be solved. It's not just the one big problem. There's all these ancillary problems that you'd have to account for as well.
Yeah, it's really gonna affect my BART ride home, because right now I can barely get on the BART, and like
That's a good point, too.
standing. I had to stand like 45 minutes the other day, all for like an hour ride. There's just too many people on the planet right now, and not enough infrastructure to.
If everybody's living
handle
longer,
everybody.
that just means more jackass is going to be in front of me on the train. That's
Exactly.
basically the problem.
Exactly.
Well, so fortunately, if the planet, I think we can all agree, like you're saying, is getting pretty crowded. But fortunately, there's people this year who made some pretty big announcements in terms of moving beyond this planet, which I think a lot of people see as the next step. And I know we're talking far out here, but so, I mean, something else that happened in 2016, several things happened actually to make kind of the Star Trek universe and even the Star Wars universe, although that's a lot more focused on trade wars. But the Star Trek universe, I mean, honestly, it suddenly seems a little less far out after 2016. And I mean, nobody's signing up for Starfleet just yet, but our understanding of the universe actually expanded quite a bit in 2016. And we had probably the biggest...
Makes the highest quality.
Sorry about that.
What's that?
Sorry, I just screwed up the audio thing. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I can't hear the audio from the clips there.
Okay.
But yeah, so we had, we discovered Proxima b this year, which is an exoplanet that's around Proxima Centauri, which is the closest star to Earth. So this is literally like the closest planet beyond our solar system that could exist. There's no other stars closer than this one. And on top of everything, there's a chance that it could be habitable. It is in the habitable zone where liquid water should be possible. So, I mean, this happened over the summer, and there's already plans to try to send some really tiny ships there. They would actually just be like a postage stamp sized ship that would go at like a fifth the speed of light to take really close-up pictures of it, see how habitable it could really be. So that happened in 2016. And then also, speaking of getting to a place where humans might actually be able to get to in our lifetime, there's a guy you may have heard of. His name's Elon Musk, who's really serious about going to Mars.
Dead serious.
He's dead serious about it. And you've probably got some of the video of this. He wants to send 1 million people to Mars by the end of this century. Pretty darn ambitious, but he came out in September with a detailed plan for it, how to get 1 million people there. We'll see if that moves forward, but it sure looks like there's going to at least be some humans landing on Mars within the next 10 to 20 years for sure. So, we're moving towards reducing the overcrowding problem that you guys are seeing. And just one more thing in terms of space travel, and this is probably the craziest thing of all, but in 2016, we also saw something called the electromagnetic drive, or the M drive. And this is something that NASA has been working on. We've been hearing about it for a couple years, but it's kind of been this thing that you hear on like space flight forums, and it was like kind of a sketchy story for a while.
Yeah.
Well, this year in 2016, the M drive passed peer review and is headed towards actually being tested in space. And just to give you some context of what the M drive is, a lot of people think it could lay the foundation. So in other words, a first baby step towards a warp drive, like the actual warp drive from Star Trek. So, and again, this thing, maybe they'll test it and it won't pass the test, and it could still be a fantasy because it basically technically defies the laws of physics. A lot of people call it the impossible drive.
Yeah.
But hey, so a lot, either way, whether it pans out or not, a lot of progress made towards getting past Earth, solving our little overpopulation problem. So promising stuff there. So if we do live to 125, then maybe we'll actually have a place to go by then.
Yeah.
Would you guys be signing up to go to Mars at age 101?
I would. I mean, if they prove that there's a safe way to get there, and I'm going to survive, and I could get there and come back, I don't want to stay there. But if they can prove and show that there's a safe way to get there, I would love. I want to just take one of those Jeff Bezos Blue Origin ships and just go to the edge of space and come back. I mean, why not? Like, that would be a blast, piggybacking off your space talk, we also had this first SpaceX rocket land itself in the ocean on the water drone, which I have a cool video of. And also, there's a company called Arx Pax who builds those hoverboards. They're actual like electromagnetic hoverboards, not like the cheesy ones that you see with the kids riding on with the wheels. But they've been working with NASA to build a tractor beam. So that's another thing that they press released this year that we didn't really discuss a whole lot. But they've working with NASA to build a tractor beam that would literally send a signal to like a satellite or some object in space and grab it and be able to pull it in or push things out. So that's another thing to look at. Arx Pax. They are they're in what do you call it? Here's actually a headline.
I believe they're in
Los Gatos.
Los Gatos, okay.
Yeah, so they are working on a tractor beam. So I mean, all these things that we see in in sci-fi movies are actually happening because I mean, art dictates life. Like an artist comes up with an idea. Oh, let's make this tractor beam. Let's make space-time travel. Well, scientists see that stuff and they say, let's try to make that for real. And 2016 seems like the year that a lot of these scientists came up with actual concepts that can do these sort of things, So 2016 was pretty awesome for space travel.
Well, and I'm glad you pointed out what Blue Origin and SpaceX are doing, because we've been hearing about like this kind of like futuristic stuff. I mean, frankly, since before we were born, right? Like the Jetsons have been around for decades and decades, and we're always talking about this really futuristic stuff, and it never quite seems to come to pass because frankly, we can't get our own stuff together on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
But SpaceX and Blue Origin are really interesting because what you have there is those are people between Musk and Bezos that are actually now building a business model for going to space. So like when you see people who are actually managing to make this stuff practical and profitable, then it's like, okay, this isn't just, a pipe dream in a research lab somewhere. These people are building a business off of this, and this is actually moving forward. So that's just landing a rocket.
I know.
Frankly, it is really cool. I mean, a lot of people
just watch this footage. I mean, it's incredible just to watch this thing. The little arms come down. Yeah. I mean, they tried this. How many times did they try this before they nailed it?
Like the fourth or fifth time they got it. Finally.
Yeah, it was quite a few times we watched these things explode, and then finally in April they did
Those
it.
Explosions were awesome too.
And then and then Jeff Bezos, I remember, like ridiculed them, like, "Oh, welcome to the club! You finally landed a spaceship."
Right. I love the billionaire space rocket trolling. It's a good part of 21st century life.
From his cave lair, Elon Musk even joked about building his own secret lair in some volcano somewhere, after he landed the SpaceX ship. So I mean, this is real life stuff now, and this year it all got glossed over a lot by, war and terrorism and Donald Trump and all that stuff. So it's cool that we're like reliving all these neat things that happen,
Yeah, we're making space great again.
Yes.
So, what do you think, Sparkman? You headed to Mars anytime soon? You going to sign up for that one?
Oh, sure. I mean, as long as I've got, a spare weekend or two, head
spare
on up
year.
there. Yeah. I've always wanted to experience weightlessness, just for a long period of time, longer than the hill on a roller coaster.
Those parabolic airplanes.
Yeah, I mean, it's always intrigued me. I'm wondering, would that feel weird being weightless the entire time you're going there?
Yeah.
Because I remember there was an old A Wonderful World of Disney thing before we had actually gone to space, talking about the effects of weightlessness, and they referred to it as your stomach is bracing for an impact that never actually comes because you feel like you're falling. And that always intrigued me. And I'm like, that would kind of make it hard to concentrate on doing a lot of things. Just kind of being all floaty and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is the scientific term for it, floaty.
And we should be realistic. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to figure out and a lot of challenges to solve before anyone's actually going to live on Mars. I mean, the radiation dose you get from there is insane. And there's a lot of people who've been working in NASA for a long time who think Elon Musk is just totally crazy and that he really can't pull it off because there's these huge challenges to solve. And that's to say nothing of the fact that if you had a kid on Mars, because the gravity is different there, if you had a kid on Mars and they were raised on Mars, they could never come to visit the grandparents on Earth.
Oh yeah,
because their spine would be crushed by the gravity here. So there's these challenges to figure out. But our ancestors came to the U.S. against ridiculous odds and lived in horrible conditions. And I mean, even today, immigrants, spend time walking across the desert. So I mean, there's challenges to be figured out, but there's always seems to be the drive to move somewhere because it's just getting too damn crowded on public transit. So we got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other things that we haven't taken into account, like spreading disease. We can easily spread disease to Mars and vice versa. Right. That's War of the Worlds. That's the basic. That's how that movie ended. So there's so many things to think about, and it's not going to happen overnight. But if Elon Musk is in charge, it's going to happen pretty soon.
It won't be boring if he's in charge.
No.
To say nothing else.
Yeah.
And speaking of other companies that are actually kind of trying to make a business out of the future, I swear, guys, I think the flying cars are finally coming. Because in 2016, Leave it to one of the unicorns to finally bring us flying cars. Uber revealed a plan this year for, okay, wait for it, for commuting. So this will solve your BART problem as well. For commuting via self-flying, ride-sharing, vertical takeoff and landing vehicles.
Yes.
That's a funny way of saying flying Ubers. So they've got a plan where we could possibly see this rolling out. Frankly, depending on the regulatory hurdles, we could see this rolling out in 10 years or so. And these are literally, they're kind of like a cross between a plane and a helicopter. They take off like a helicopter, and then they can fly like a plane, basically. VTOLs, they're called. And so Uber wants to have basically ride-sharing flying Ubers that would take off from kind of points around the city, and then they could fly you out to the suburbs for your commute, and then eventually also making them basically drones. So they would have pilots at first, and then eventually be basically ride-sharing drones that take you around your commute.
That sounds terrifying to me.
What's that?
That sounds terrifying to me.
It does kind of sound terrifying. They say it'll be less expensive than owning a car. I mean, this is what Uber is saying. So, I mean, what do you think? We've been waiting for flying cars, I mean, since the Jetsons, or even longer. Maybe my great-grandmother was waiting for a flying car, too. I don't know. Do you think this is just bluster? Do you think we could actually be flying around for our commute in 10 years?
I don't think in 10 years. I mean, let's put it this way. I would be surprised if that happened in 10 years. I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, flying cars and public transit that does not smell like piss, that would be great. I just don't see that happening in 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years seems pretty fast. That's pretty fast.
But,
what if
go
we scale
for
it
it
back a little bit? Take away the flying part, because in 2016 we saw just regular self-driving cars. They don't have to fly. Self-driving cars, I swear before 2015, we were really only talking about self-driving cars as kind of this crazy Google side project, which now they've outsourced. They've spun that off. But in the meantime, it seems like in 2016, like everyone jumped on the self-driving car bandwagon, whether it was Uber, and Uber also, I mean, they've got cars driving around Pittsburgh right now.
There's some right down the street. There's some right down the, you know what?
Oh, yeah, okay.
CNET actually broke this. I feel like CNET broke the story because we went to our Christmas party last Thursday night and we're walking the venue where our Christmas party was just a couple blocks away. And we're all walking there and we walked by a big garage, and inside this garage was like 30 self-driving cars, like clearly all marked Uber, all shiny, polished, beautiful. And I was like, what is going on there? And then out front, there was like 20, 30 like young guys all like vaping and like smoking cigarettes and stuff. And we're like, something is going on. And we started asking them like, what is going on here? And they're like, this is a secret like Uber garage, And we happen to be with Dara, who writes all Uber stuff for CNET. Next morning they go there, they stake it out. They took some pictures. We broke the story. I'm pretty sure CNET broke the story. I can't confirm or deny that. The DMV of California says, hey, Uber, you can't do this. You don't have permits. Uber's like, whatever, we're going to do it. Then California shuts them down. This all happened since last Thursday or Friday, I think is when we broke the story. But yeah, there are self-driving cars driving around San Francisco right now. And I almost wanted to bring my kids to San Francisco just to take them on a ride. Almost like a Disneyland ride, like, it's be the first time I ever ridden in a self-driving car. I was feeling like I wanted to bring my kids to have that experience with me. They're like 4 and 2 years old, I know that's risky, but at the same time, it's 2016. There's cars driving around the city by themselves. So I think we're on the right track, but the flying drones, that is a whole other can of worms, man. I don't know about that.
It's like adding an extra dimension. I mean, you're basically confined to like, sort of, I mean, obviously it's 3 dimensions, but mostly 2,
Yeah.
You're going this way, you're going that way.
Yeah.
But with flying, you're going up. It just
think about the traffic control.
Yeah.
The air traffic control systems.
Like, how do you keep people in a lane?
Yeah.
Because, well, if they're autonomous, that's one thing. But like if you get some, person
Yeah, you're gonna have a person in a Cessna who's not.
Yeah, just rolling outside. It's like, well, screw this. I don't want to wait.
Yeah, and maybe a lot of Cessna airplanes don't have all this sophisticated technology that's going to be tracking other aircraft. Like it's all visual, like there's visual flying, and then there's just flying using just your instruments. There's two different VFR and AFR, I think it is called. So you have to spot these things, and little tiny drones flying around with people in them. That seems you can't even fly over the city actually.
Yeah.
In a regular airplane, in a Cessna, you have to fly north of the left tower of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh wow.
So it wouldn't even work in the city. Like if it was something, it would have to be like almost like rural areas. Like you can't have drones flying and picking people up in a major city. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be possible.
Although, didn't Amazon start delivering packages in the UK this week?
Yeah, I saw that, and it looked like a big advertisement to me. Like, oh, we delivered our first package. Sure, they did. They probably did, but they also like produced it and had a camera follow it, and then interviewed the guy who made the order, and it was like all this like big produced commercial. And they actually announced that they're going to do that 3 years ago. So it took them 3 years to get to this point where they're like delivering. Like I think they had delivered like a Fire TV stick, which is a very small thing, and like some books or something. But it just all still seems like a big publicity stunt to me at this point. I don't think it's like, I don't know. I still am skeptical.
When the drone drops off your stuff, are you supposed to tip it like the pizza guy?
Hell no.
It's all this stuff that we need to find out.
Yeah, you don't tip. I'm not tipping a drone.
The tip is not stealing the drone.
Oh
yeah. The tip. But I think once again, I think it's Elon Musk and Tesla that's kind of rolling this out in a way that makes sense, which is they sold the car first, and then they basically just sent a software update over the air that added some self-driving capabilities to the Tesla models. And so that's that's a way that kind of makes sense to introduce it. Like, okay, well, we're gonna add this like through baby steps. And so now your car has self-driving capabilities. I mean, basically it's souped up cruise control while on the highway. Although those cars are like fully self-driving, when you're on private property, you can summon them and they'll like drive themselves from the parking garage to pick you up at the front door. So that's probably the way that this becomes part of a society, is like slowly being introduced piece by piece, and maybe those self-driving Ubers too. Who knows? But there is one other dimension of transit that moved forward this year, and again, it's another Elon Musk joint. He seems to be involved in a lot of these, and that's the Hyperloop, which you guys remember the Hyperloop, right? It's kind of this crazy like supersonic monorail thing that Elon Musk kind of threw a white paper out on as almost a throwaway because he didn't have time to do it like 3 years ago. And then suddenly this year, some different startups started to move forward and actually tested the technology in Nevada this year. So that's another possible solution to your BART problem, Stephen.
Yes.
I mean, it might still smell like piss, but at least it'll be moving 600 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Which would at least be a good reason for it to smell like piss, because you're going so fast, you're a little worried.
Totally. Here's a video of the Hyperloop, actually. And they tested it in Vegas this year, right?
Yeah, this was over the summer.
Yeah.
Kind of a proof of concept. I think that track is, only like a quarter mile long or something, but it just shows how it would conceivably work.
And it was traveling at like 400, 500 miles per hour. Is that what it was? I don't remember.
I think it only got up to a fraction of the speed that it is designed to go, because like I said, they only had like a quarter mile, or maybe it was a half mile. I don't remember exactly.
They didn't have the brakes yet.
Yeah, it had to crash into some sand.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're actually building a real test track in Texas, I believe.
Oh, right on.
And there's all these teams getting together, and they're collaborating. They're actually working with the ARX PAX people too, who are working on the hoverboard and the tractor beam. The ARX PAX people are showing off their technology for the Hyperloop, so it'll kind of like hover through the tunnel. And that's going to be something we're going to see next year too. So I'm looking forward to that.
With the name Hyperloop, though, does anybody else kind of like imagine a roller coaster with like a loop on the track? Or is it just me?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not, but every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, there's no loop.
I always picture that movie Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he's like in that like a toboggan thing, like what's that ride? the ride at Disneyland, the Matterhorn.
The Matterhorn, yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
like
yeah.
riding that, and he's like, people are in it getting killed and stuff. That's what I always envision when I see that. But
So there should be different ways to get around moving forward in 2017 and beyond. But other kinds of automation also began to move forward in 2016. I mean, frankly, we worry a lot about the emergence of Skynet, kind of the evil robot system from Terminator. But I mean, frankly, Skynet's probably already here. This year we
Totally.
saw technologies. John Scully, when I talked to him, he talked a lot about a blockchain, it was what was used to make to underlie the technology of Bitcoin, but now it's being used to basically kind of harden and make the Internet of Things more secure. I mean, frankly, it is Skynet. It's like friendly Skynet.
Well, that's how they get you. It's friendly at first.
Yeah, right. So I think this, the Internet of Things. This year we saw implants. They're like the size, like not even your fingernail. I mean, they're literally like the size of a piece of dust. That they're sensors that can be implanted in your body, and they have a wireless signal. So at this point, like everything is in the Internet of Things. Your liver could be in the Internet of Things, and it's sending data to your doctor directly.
that's awesome. If after a night of heavy drinking, you can just be like, liver, fix yourself. Okay, all right, I feel better.
You get a message, you are dead from alcohol poisoning.
You're like, no.
It will text the funeral home.
Yes.
After heavy drinking, just have them ready just in case.
They'll have Clippy ready to help you. You look like you're ready to die of alcohol poisoning. Do you need...
Here's some salsa.
The logical conclusion of all this kind of combination of everything being connected and everything kind of being a part of the Internet of Things is moving to the point where we can combine something like blockchain, which is basically kind of like a brain for the Internet of Things, right? A communication system, a nervous system, and combine that with some technology that moved forward this year, something called atomic nanocars that they work on at Rice University. So these are basically machines that are the size of an atom, and they can be moved around and can be used to do stuff. And this is at a really basic level right now. This isn't at a consumer level at all. But basically, I mean, if you think 3D printers are cool, like just wait until this stuff comes of age. We're talking the combination of robotics and nanotechnology that basically, if you take it to its logical extension, could give us the replicator from Star Trek. It's pretty exciting stuff. This is really far out, but the building blocks of this kind of technology that has been like in our sci-fi dreams forever, like it's there. So
this is kind of terrifying to me because I mean, an atom is like a little machine in itself, right? I mean, it's like a building block it has protons and neutrons. So we're going to build something that's going to destroy us. Cool. I mean,
right. That's technology is tools, right? And tools can be used for horrible things. Oh
yeah, I guarantee this is going to be used for prank videos. Like, as soon as it hits like the shelves, as soon as some normal person can get their hands on it, somebody's going to stick it in their butt and make it launch or something. Because that's what you do with technology.
Yeah, exactly.
You launch it out your butt.
I know you're worried about all this technology bringing about the apocalypse, but you need to think of the viral videos that will come along with the apocalypse.
The fun apocalypse, okay?
The fun apocalypse. It's coming.
See, everything's going to hell, but if you sell it the right way,
it's all marketing.
It's the fun apocalypse.
It's all marketing.
Yep.
And so, before we get out of here, the final technology that we saw continue to move forward in 2016, and it's the thing that kind of ties us all together, and that's artificial intelligence. We started the year with Google had an AI that beat the human champion at the game of Go.
Oh, that's right.
Which I have no idea how Go works, but I think it's similar to like chess or Othello or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it beat a human for the first time. Although then by the end of the year, a human did get it back and beat it.
Way to go, humans.
We had a big year, I think, for artificial intelligence that kind of ended in an uncertain way for me with Westworld. If anyone's watching Westworld, that makes you think a little bit about where we're going with AI. And I can't even tell you where we're going to go with artificial intelligence because it's kind of a matter of the imagination. But beyond that, it's a matter of what would an artificial artificial imagination come up with, and we don't even know.
They have some stuff like that,
Yeah,
right?
didn't like they have
Google.
a Christmas song? They had like some AI design.
They wrote a Christmas song.
Not a great song,
Terrible song.
but
And then Google also has like this dream thing that like
the deep dream where it,
deep dream.
It looks for patterns.
It takes stuff from the internet and it builds like nightmares based on
It's basically nightmare fuel.
everyone's communication on the internet. So we kind of have that stuff.
How could that possibly go
it's
wrong?
like, and then also, was it this year that Microsoft put that robot on Twitter that became completely racist right away?
Yeah, it didn't work out as great as it could have, but baby steps, learning. That's how you learn things.
Yeah.
You learn from things that go wrong.
We're putting all that stuff out in the world and seeing what happens, and it just turns into a monster, really. It's cool.
Well, 2016 even saw an artificial intelligence that is actually capable of predicting the future. They showed it videos, and it had to guess what happened next in the videos, and apparently it got pretty good at it.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, by this point next year, we won't even have to do a year in review or the year looking forward to 2018. We're just going to have an AI do it for us.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I can't. That's going to revolutionize my job. Just going to like type in, we're going to make a video about this, and then like come back to my desk and the video is produced. I love that.
There you go. I mean, we're all gonna be in self-driving, ride-sharing, flying Ubers on the way to vacation this time next year. I'm pretty sure it's all just gonna be worked out.
Are you guys talking to your house yet? Are you talking to your house, Eric? Jeff?
Talking to the house, I talk to Alexa.
You do have Alexa? Cool. I just got Alexa too, and so I'm talking to my house.
I just talked to my apartment. There's no actual appliances that will respond, but it gets lonely in that apartment, so it's good practice.
We could see. Hey Alexa, say hi to Steven. Alexa, say hi to Steven.
Hello.
It doesn't.
The future is here.
Conversationalist Alexa.
Yeah, when I first got it, I immediately tried to play Jeopardy, and like it kicked. I'm terrible. Apparently, I don't know anything, and I got every answer wrong. My wife was like, "Oh, really impressive, great." But yeah, I mean, we're there. Like I'm telling it to turn on the lights, play music, set alarms for my kids to go to bed. So we're there. My kids are talking to it. My kid's 4 years old. He's like, Alexa, turn off the lights. I'm like, wow. So that's where we are now, man.
It's so bad. We actually have two of them. I've got the
nice.
I've got the Echo here, and then my kid has the tap one that you can carry around. You got to press a button. But yeah, we're fully embracing the funpocalypse in the Mac household.
See, awesome.
Well, so maybe to wrap up the show, I've talked an awful lot, I think, about what I thought was good about 2016, what I'm looking forward to in 2017 and beyond. What are you guys looking forward to coming up next year?
Go for it, Jeff.
I know. I have something I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the Spider-Man movie that's coming out next year.
Oh, that's right.
Because I saw the trailer for it, and it looked fun. And Spider-Man's even got his little creepy-ass little web wings that they drew for I think 12 issues at the beginning and then stopped for 20 years. It's really interesting to see those.
Yeah, it looks fun. I wasn't into the last Spider-Man, the guy who played Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't interested, but this one looks fun,
You didn't like Tobey Maguire's Spidey sense?
No, I loved the Tobey Maguire, but the actor after him.
Yeah, I remember that guy's name.
Andrew Garfield?
Yeah, because he wasn't even American. That's a problem for me. No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
Make Spider-Man great again.
Yep.
Yeah, but this guy's more of an unknown kind of actor, which makes for a better superhero movie, in my opinion.
I hear you. What about you, Steven? What are you looking forward to for next year?
I'm looking forward to self-driving everything. I would like self-driving. I would like my car to be a self-driving car because I make trips to Tahoe every once in a while. and just, drives to LA or whatever. I would love to just be able to sit back and watch a movie or something
Oh, heck yeah.
during that trip. I'm looking forward to AI improving. I'm looking forward to Alexa improving so I can ask her more questions and get just more information and have her do more things, So that's really it. Artificial intelligence is a huge thing now. I talk to my phone. I talk to Siri. I want Siri to be better. Talk to Siri, talk to Alexa, and, that's what I'm looking forward to.
In addition to artificial intelligence improving, I'd like to see real intelligence improve.
Yes.
Not sure which one's going to happen first, but
Yeah, I mean,
here's hoping. Look, Eric, that was optimistic. You happy? I was optimistic. I am a ray of sunshine, damn it.
2016 sucks for me if Jeff isn't happy. That's what we need to fix now. Well, I hope it was at least a decent 2016 for everyone out there, and that you can find some silver linings. Maybe you think this was a great year. Maybe you think the world is going to be made great again in the coming months, and I certainly hope so. And I think that's it for Farsighted for the final one of 2016. Happy holidays to everyone around the world, and we really want to see Kelsey and Bonnie feel better. A big shout out to our editor Leslie Katz, and best to her family, and to everyone in the CNET family as well. Happy holidays, and we will see you in 2017. For Stephen Beecham and Jeff Sparkman, I'm Eric Mack. This has been Farsighted.